Assalamualaikum, my name is Umi Amirina and today I am going to present on the role of effective import-export management in global trade with Samsung as my real-life example. First, let me give you a quick overview of what I will cover today. We will start with the introduction, then look at international trade regulations, logistics and supply chain management, financial considerations, risk management, and finally, the conclusion with some recommendation. Import and export management is basically the planning, implementation, and supervision of moving goods, services, and information across borders. In this era of globalization, it is not just about shipping products. It involves regulations, supply chain, finance, and risk management. The key benefits are clear. Companies can get cheaper raw materials, enter new markets, and enjoy economies of scale. For example, Samsung imports components from dozens of countries and exports finished smartphones and semiconductors to more than 200 countries worldwide. In this presentation, I will show how Samsung turns potential barriers in import-export into real competitive advantage. Moving on to international trade regulations. Global trade is governed by tariff, quotas, export controls, custom procedures, and sanctions, all under the WTO and national laws. Samsung is very smart in using free trade agreement. By signing FTA with the US, EU, and several Asian countries, especially the Korea-US FTA, Samsung has reduced costs and maintained a strong price advantage in the American market. However, geopolitical tensions can create big challenges. During the US-China trade war, semiconductor export controls really disrupt the supply chain. Samsung was indirectly affected because of restrictions on chips and chemicals. How did they respond? They expand their production in Vietnam and India, built partnerships with non-restricted countries, and invested heavily in compliance departments and electronics tracking systems. This helped them avoid penalties and keep operations running smoothly. Logistics and supply chain management are crucial in import-export. Samsung uses different modes of transportation depending on the product. Ocean freight for large volumes like batteries or displays, and air freight for time-sensitive, high-value items like semiconductors. They work closely with freight forwarders and custom brokers to make sure everything is delivered on time while keeping inventory costs low. Samsung also uses Incoterms wisely, such as FOB, DAP, and EXW to negotiate better terms and maintain control over logistics. What makes Samsung different in their vertical integration strategy? Unlike Apple, which relies heavily on external suppliers, Samsung produces its own critical components like semiconductors, displays, and batteries. They also build large manufacturing facilities in Vietnam and India to reduce risk and shorten lead times. With their one-day SCM decision system and advanced tracking, they can recover quickly from disruptions like COVID-19 port congestion. Financial management in import-export is quite complex. Common payment methods include advance payment, open account, and letter of credit. Samsung prefers using letter of credit, especially when dealing with new or smaller suppliers because it reduces the risk of default. They also face currency fluctuation risk, for example, the volatility of the Korean won against US dollars. To manage this, Samsung uses hedging tools like forward contracts and natural hedging by balancing revenue and expenses in different currencies. Because of their strong vertical integration, their suppliers enjoy more stable relationships, which actually helps improve the overall financial structure of the supply chain. In international trade, companies face more main type of risks: political, operational, financial, and ethical risks. Samsung deals with all of them. One interesting example is the ethical issue in cobalt mining in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Although Samsung doesn't mine directly, their Tier 1 suppliers are involved in artisanal mining, which has human rights concerns. To manage this, Samsung conducts better due diligence, use blockchain for traceability, joins projects like cobalt ore development, and buy risk insurance. All these efforts help turn potential reputational risk into a competitive advantage through better resilience and ethical sourcing. To conclude, effective import-export management is not just an operational task. It is a strategic function that builds sustainable competitive advantage. Samsung proved this by integrating regulations, logistics, finance, and risk management very well. Here are some recommendations for other companies. First one is adopt compliance software for real-time updates. Second, diversify supply sources across multiple countries. Third, use blockchain to increase supply chain transparency. Fourth, build strong supplier relationships through audits and codes of conduct. In this uncertain global environment, companies that treat import-export management as a priority will be more resilient and successful. Thank you.